Take your career to the next level. The University of South Florida, St. Petersburg is offering a master's degree in digital journalism and design. Do the entire program from home and complete it in as little as 1 year. For more information, email journalism@usf.edu or call 727-873-4544. The cost is reasonable. The experience is invaluable.
Ladies, if you're over 50, the best is yet to come. It is time to embrace life's next chapter with passion, purpose, and confidence. Let's have some fun and live our best lives by hearing inspirational stories from women who have succeeded. And let's add a spark with important information on navigating our post-50s life. This is the Fierce, Feisty, and 50-Plus podcast with your host, television personality, social influencer, and the winner of 5 national pageant titles, Sierra Patricia Scott.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to our final podcast of this season. It's been so fun, and just a little secret, there will be a season 2. But first, let's get into today's show because it is so exciting. First, in our Wisdom Warriors, we talk about a procedure that can melt the years off your face. And in our Women on a Mission, we meet a Hollywood actress who's made a dramatic career change. In our Women on a Mission, we focus on women who not only have had amazing careers, but even after retirement age are continuing to do amazing things and contributing great things to the world. And our next guest, trust me, is doing all that and more. She has been seen in television shows, movies, soap operas. She's been in just about everything, had an amazing career. We're going to have, I can't list all of it, Sherry. So I guess I'll just say Home Improvement. You had a reoccurring role. You were in Bring It On. You had a role in that. You were on Days of Our Lives. You've just done so many cool things. And then you changed gears and you're 69 now, right?
Thank you.
Okay.
I don't know how you know that, but yes.
Yeah, I thought so. And now you've got another platform that you're using. So I'm so excited to talk about that. And thank you for being on the show, Sherry.
Absolutely. Absolutely happy to be here. Yes,
Well,
69 years young.
Yeah, exactly. And you act like a 30-year-old. And I mean that in the best positive way, for sure.
Yeah. There's no stopping that.
No. You had a really long Hollywood career and still continue to really, but you had to reinvent yourself to make that happen. Has Hollywood changed all that much since you've been there? And if so, in what way?
Oh, it has because of the platforms. There's so many different platforms. There used to be that my day, you just had an agent. Agents sent you out on auditions. You had 3 major networks and you got a pilot or a job or a series or a movie or something through those avenues. And that was it. And nowadays, a lot of people even audition online. People, have their websites set up. They have their own representation. A lot of times they get a lot of hits on some social media outlet and suddenly they might become an overnight success. It's a very different world than it used to be.
And I love that because it used to be if you were 35 in Hollywood, forget it. It's over for the most part.
That's true. I mean,
go ahead.
For women, I think a lot of times there were fewer roles just in general for women in a cast of a series. There might be 2, maybe 3 major roles. That has really changed since my day. I love the fact that now there are just as many roles for women as there used to be, for men. So I'm happy about that.
And I'm really, fascinated because you kind of created a niche for yourself too, with Lily's Light. Talk about why you started that and what you were hoping to achieve with that.
Well, I'd say that was one of my first life-changing moments. I sort of said to God and the universe, whatever you want to call the divine source, I said, is this it for me? I was sort of at the top of my game. Home Improvement was the #1 series on television. I was playing Al's girlfriend, Eileen. I had not only that going on, but I was also doing musical theater in a tour of a show that I was in love with called Lunch. So I was flying back and forth and constantly busy. And I just had the best of everything in my profession. But I thought, is this what I came to do? And I asked that very profound question. Is this all there is for me? It's not that it's not enough, but I really felt like there was something specific for me to be doing in this world. And asking that question sort of shifted something in my life path and I think my inner landscape to really question who I was and what I was here for. And at that moment, right around that time, I had been asked to host a kids show on PBS, which I really wanted to do because I was very in love with children and I loved music and it was all about being a music teacher. So I that fell through and I sat in my bed one night. I had several things happen after I asked that question. I had like life crises happen. I went through a divorce. My surrogate mother died. I was having a really difficult time. And I sort of said, why is all this happening? This pilot that I had just done for a kids show kind of fell through the cracks. And I got this very clear message from Spirit that I was to create my own.
And I love
And
it. It
after
is fantastic. And go ahead. I didn't mean to
Thank
interrupt.
you. So after that, I had done so much research um, around the children's market. And I grew up with a foster sister. And because I had sort of been moved from place to place when my mom and dad split. And my mom wasn't particularly stable. I had the feeling of being an orphaned child in a lot of ways. I was uprooted from my home in South Carolina, plopped into Los Angeles in the middle of the 70s. It was
Yeah.
culture shock.
Wow.
So I felt that I wanted to do something that advocated for foster and displaced youth. So Lily's Light, the movie, was first a pilot on PBS and then an hour special on PBS and then a feature film that is still out now that I not only wrote with my beautiful partner, Felice Sampler, but I star in it and I produced it with my husband, the movie, and he's also in it, Rick Howling.
Isn't it interesting? Your life experiences sometimes lead you. It's all the things you learn along the way that enable you to do something else.
Yes.
And that I love that you did that. Of all the things that you did in your career,
Yeah.
what story do you have that you think is the most crazy or most interesting or your favorite?
Oh, that's a good question. I have a good one. Delbert Mann, who won an Academy Award, I think, for the movie Charlie years and years ago, came to see me because he was best friends with the director of a show that I did in South Carolina at the Town Theater when I was 13. And he told my mother at the time that I had potential as an actress. I was playing Gretel in Hansel and Gretel at 13. And
Wow.
I was a very shy ballerina at the time. But I remember hearing this. And when I moved to LA and I got into the business, I went on an audition one time for a live action telecast of The Member of the Wedding with Pearl Bailey and Dana Hill and Howard Rollins and all-star cast. And Delbert Mann was the director. And
Wow.
when I walked in and sat down at 23, I looked at him and I said, Delbert, I've met you before, and I said, but I was 13. And I got very emotional. And he looked at me and he said, my darling, you had braids.
He remembered.
He remembered. And
Wow.
he hired me to play the bride in The Member of the Wedding, which was a very memorable job for me and an incredible opportunity. I was there in Nashville doing that big live telecast, which was something NBC had never done at that time with these amazing people. Pro Bailey taught me how to crochet while I was there. And, so I feel like these big turns in my life. Home improvement was one of them.
Mhm.
That came at a time when they couldn't find the right person to partner with Al Borland in the show. And they had gone through so many women. And I was called in by my good friend Deb Brilski. And she said, I'm just bringing you in as a ringer. You're actually not the right age for this. She
Oh,
thought I
wow.
was too young for it. So she brought me in anyway. And next thing you know, within 24 hours, I had this chemistry with Al. I loved him instantly. And I went to the final read the next day on the set with about six other women. And I'm sitting there, and they sort of had someone else in mind. And there was just something that happened, and it was sort of magical. And the director came out and said, you need to stay because you got the
Wow.
job. And I was there for 5 years. off and on doing the show and loving it. So it was one of those pivotal moments, you know.
Oh, absolutely. And it was meant to be, obviously. Isn't that
Yeah,
crazy? I'm bringing you in and I don't expect you to get the job. That's so
exactly.
crazy.
Exactly. And
You
I
never
think
know.
sometimes there's a song called When It All Comes True, Just the Way You Planned. It's funny, but the bells don't ring. It's a quiet thing. And
Oh,
sometimes in these moments in our lives, that's what happened to me with ministry.
yeah.
I never in a million years planned to be a minister, but this spiritual community that I am a part of in Thousand Oaks, California, Unity of the Oaks, was the most loving and conscious group of people I'd ever met when I stepped in the door to perform as a singer. I was asked to come and be a guest singer. And then they hired me or asked me to be the music director, and I couldn't leave them. I was there for 10 years as the music director.
Wow.
And I
Yeah.
decided I did all these spiritual education classes along the way over 10 years. I did 33 classes. And my mentor, Reverend Molly Rocky, said, take them for credit. I said, no, 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 I'm not doing that. But I did because she insisted. And then when I called to see about getting a license to be a teacher to just support the ministry, they said, well, have you ever thought about being a minister? And I said, oh, no, no.
Wow.
I'd be like Bette Midler as a minister, which
Well,
I
who
am.
better? You've had the experience, right? Who better to
But
lead?
I sat down and I meditated and prayed about it. And I got a resounding finally. And I just burst into tears. And I thought, oh my goodness, I've been a minister my whole life. That's who I am.
Mhm. Isn't that amazing? Okay, one quick question, and I may be putting you on the spot. You may not want to answer it, but is there a favorite actor or actress that you worked with through the process that you just adored that people would be surprised?
So many.
That's what I thought.
I mean, so many. But I will say right off the top of my head, Carol Burnett gave me my first script binder when I did a movie with her called Friendly Fire. And I just adored her. And Valerie Harper was so precious to me when I did Rhoda. And then I met Mary Tyler Moore, and all of the Mary Tyler Moore cast were incredible and always remembered me when I'd run into them. I played Murray's daughter in Gavin McLeod. When I'd see him or run into him at an event or something, he was always so embracing. All of them were. So yeah, I've had amazing. I look at it and I think all the people I've met in my life, um, incredible people I've worked with, Randy Newman, all the musicians I've worked with, Smokey Robinson. I mean, I've just had an incredible. Ephraim Zimbalist Jr. played a character in a movie with me many years ago, and I rode on a plane with him, and I just fell in love with him as a human being. James Garner, I did a movie with. I just
Wow.
can't. It just goes on. I mean,
That's incredible.
yeah. F. Murray Abraham, one of the sweetest people on the planet.
And
Did
they
a
were lucky. Actually, I'm going to reverse it. They were lucky to get to work with you.
Well,
Or,
you get to know a person really well when you're acting with them, as you know,
yeah,
because
you'd have to.
you find out right away what kind of a generous soul they are because
Absolutely.
you're in this one-on-one, relationship.
And
Yeah.
I'd love to see now where your life has led you. It's amazing. I mean, who would think you'd go from something like home improvement to now being a pastor? I love that. So, Sherry, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for
Yeah.
sharing these great stories, and I wish you the best in whatever leads you to next.
Thank you. You are so precious to me, and I love you so much.
Thank you.
Thank
Love
you
you
for being
too.
in my life.
Coming up next, the do's and don'ts of skincare for women over 50.
At Douglas Investment Group, we understand that managing wealth isn't just about numbers. It's about protecting what matters most to you. For high net worth families, we're more than advisors, we're your trusted partner. Douglas Investment Group, your financial sounding board for sound advice. Visit us today at www.douglasgroup.net or call 316-854-8495. Looking for smarter security? Alert 360 delivers advanced home and business protection with 24/7 US-based monitoring and cutting-edge video technology. Stay connected, stay protected. Visit alert360.com and experience security done right.
Now it's time for our wisdom warriors. And these are fearless females who are going to impart all sorts of tips, ideas, and suggestions that will make sure we live our best possible lives. I have with me today Dr. Jill Crotty, who is an expert in lasers. She has her own business. I call her my secret weapon. And the reason I'm 62 and my skin looks so good is honestly because of the treatment she gives me. So Jill, thank you so much for taking time to talk to us.
Thank you for having me on today.
Absolutely. And I know you know what you're doing, trust me. So first I want to touch on if somebody hasn't done anything for years, because I have come to you for quite some time and done all sorts of different treatments. But if somebody hasn't, is there one treatment when they come in that you would recommend they try first?
Well, that really comes down to you coming in and letting me do a consultation, because there's not one cookie cutter treatment for everyone. So the first thing is come in with me, sit down for a 30-minute consultation, really looking at your different concerns, whether it's texture or pigment or even just a basic routine skincare regimen. It's not really just one modality. A lot of times it's multiple modalities. So lasers, I think anyone over the age of 35 can really benefit from a laser because it helps induce collagen production, which we all tend to lose as we age. So those are really important, really 35 and older.
Well, one of the mistakes I made, and especially in ladies my age too, we laid out in the sun. Not only did we do that, we put baby oil on and we had nice little reflective things that made us really tan. Is there a laser that really can target some of that damage that we did?
Yes. So at our office, we have different lasers for pigment and texture. The best for pigment is going to be IPL, which is an abbreviation for intense pulse light, and some people refer to it as BBL. But what that does is it targets melanin, or the different pigmentation in our skin. It can be used really on skin types 1 through 3. So the darker you get for skin types, this is not the best choice. So we have a different laser for that. But we come in and do skin typing on you to make sure that it's safe and effective. But it can treat sunspots, age spots, and then it can also do freckles, any kind of reds or browns in your skin. Even we have women that come in that just want to glow to the skin, so we can do a full face that will give more of a brightening to their skin. But typically, we have a conversation that IPL, as well as most lasers, isn't just a one treatment. It's usually done in a series because we don't know how deep that pigment goes. So when we do a treatment on someone and target those areas, I always educate that those browns will probably get worse before they get better, because we're bringing them to the surface, and then it kind of helps to kind of pepper and it kind of flakes off. But then I want to see them back in 4 to 5 weeks for a repeat, because we got to keep lifting until we get that clear skin.
And one of the things that you talked about, and I really wholly believe in this, it's not just one modality. So you do a number of things on me, and we kind of keep it up through the year and then repeat it. Is that really the best way to do, kind of get something that you know works for you and then keep it up?
Yes. It's never a one and done. And I'm very upfront about that, because I want to set realistic expectations. So if we're treating pigment, usually it's done in a series of 3 to 4. And then I say for maintenance, maybe 1 every 6 months. Now, I also say use sunscreen every single day, even in the winter. Even if you're leaving your front door and you're walking to the car, you are getting some type of skin damage. So for me, that's probably the most important, is your daily routine and the sunscreen, really to protect your investment when you're coming in and spending money on lasers. So yes, maintenance is always part of someone's long-term goal regimen.
And in addition to lasers, we also do something called Scarlet. Can you kind of explain what that is and what it does?
Yes, so Scarlet's amazing. So that is a microneedling device that also you can add radio frequency. What that does really is it's creating micro injuries in the skin, which creates fibroblast activity, and those fibroblasts go to wherever we're microneedling, and it helps stimulate collagen production. So with adding a little bit of radio frequency to that, it kind of can heat different layers of the skin, which then causes it to lift, tighten, and improve texture. So we can treat face, we can treat arms, legs, elbows, knees, anywhere you need a lift. We can even do abdomen. So that one is you have to wait and be patient process, because collagen stimulation takes time. Really, when we do a treatment, you're going to see those effects about 10 to 12 weeks later. So we want you back every 4 to 6 weeks. So our secret is, as a provider, is if you're in your 40s, you come back in 4 weeks. If you're in your 50s, you come back in 5 weeks. So we do it per decade of life, a week out. So really, that can be in a series anywhere from 3 to 6 every 4 to 6 weeks, and then maybe one every 6 months after that.
And to kind of piggyback on that, because I think it's so important, there are so many things out there that don't work. And I've invested, the sad thing is, and I'm a great test person for that, there are a lot of things out there that don't work. How does somebody know, if they can't necessarily come to you, Jill, how does somebody know if a machine is worth the investment?
I would say do your research. For me, I don't bring anything into my practice unless I know I get results. And that's just not me speaking with a rep that's trying to sell me the device. I actually reach out to providers that own the device. I will often go visit their practice and watch them do treatments, because I want to know how much pain is the client going to be in. That's a huge factor for me. Yes, we can do numbing, and we can offer Pronox, which is essentially laughing gas, to help get you through these treatments as comfortable as possible. But I don't want someone to invest the money and think, this is too painful, I'm never going back. So I want to know that it's a tolerable procedure. I want to know that it gets good results. For me, that's the most important thing. I don't want to invest my money if my clients aren't going to be happy. So for me, from an investment perspective, I need to make sure that it's doing what it says it's going to do and give women long-term results.
And I know a lot of women, they have facials, and that does help, but it's not going to give you the long-term results of some of these lasers. Do you also suggest, though, that women in between all these get other procedures like that as well?
Yes. So I always give the statement, you can't expect to lose weight by going to the gym once a month. You actually have to do the daily and eat right and exercise and do all the things you need to do to meet that long-term result. So yes, I will say again, skincare is probably the most important factor. So at our practice, we have free facial consultations where they will meet with a provider to talk about their skin specifically, address concerns, put them on a regimen. They may do some type of facial treatment once a month, maybe once a quarter, just depending on what that client's skin is. Again, it's not cookie cutter. Everyone is completely different, and we need to treat people as such. We really want long-term goals. So if someone comes in and says, well, I need to look great in 3 weeks, I'm in a wedding, our treatment plan may be different for that person than, I just turned 50 and I really want to invest in my skin and my skin health. And so what can you offer me over 6 to 12 months that's really going to start making changes? So someone in their 50s and older, really a nice cleanser, some type of retinoid that's going to help with skin cell turnover, a nice moisturizer, and any serum that's like a brightening, or any serum that's going to help with a certain problem that they're having. But the retinoid is probably one of the best things you can do just to help with skin cell turnover, and then SPF for sure.
Great advice. Dr. Crotty, thank you so much for giving us so much great and valuable information.
You're welcome.
Before I say goodbye, I'd like to leave you with a final thought. I know a lot of people over the age of 50 start to feel useless, that they aren't really contributing to society. Well, the best advice ever given to me was go volunteer. Whether it be Dress for Success or Habitat for Humanity, find a charity that really utilizes your skill set. And when you help somebody else, you help yourself too. If you're listening to us on Apple or Spotify, you can also watch us on YouTube. Please leave us an excellent rating. Also, we're on social media. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, or we have a website as well. Go have a fierce and feisty day. I'm Sierra Patricia Scott.
Thank you for listening. The views and opinions of this episode's guest and the host are not associated with nor reflect those of the University of South Florida. The podcast is produced by the Department of Journalism and Digital Communication at the University of South Florida, St. Petersburg. Executive producers are Elliot Weiser and Sierra Patricia Scott. Producer is Stephanie Broughton. Production assistant is Ariel Makis. The director is Christopher Campbell, and a special thank you to PBS Kansas. I'm Jamel Holoparik. Thank you for joining us.